Drop it on them random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of That Time in Hip Hop, a hip hop podcast about the nostalgia, the history, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I got my partner in crime with me, Tony from n.w.a. What is good, man?
Hey, man, everything's good. Drinking some water and getting ready for Hurricane Francis, my dude, down here in NC.
Yeah, man, it's just crazy to even think about, man. Like it's crazy because I know for us, we had snowstorm like I think in May, so it felt like we had a little bit of summer, and now with all this hurricane talk, I'm like, but how? Summer just got here, but nah, it's hurricane season, and hopefully you don't have to go through no craziness. I know you got the new house and all of that. It's going to get tested now. That's how it is for homeowners. If you don't own a home, please know when it's like crazy snow or hurricanes and tone situation and stuff like that, man, you ain't just up in the building in the projects just like, yo, close the window. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you got to prep. Yeah. But yo, if you're watching for the first time, like we said, man, it's all about the history and kind of keeping different stories and hip hop artists and albums and events and things of that nature alive and talking about them. A little bit of facts, a little bit of rumors, a little bit of speculation. It's all about hip hop and what we love, which is the conversation that comes along with that. Please know, what I'm saying, if you're watching the video version, you're like, yo, I love this, but I can't watch all the time. You can also listen via iTunes or Google Play. All you got to do is search Hip Hop Now podcast. Yes, I know there's another podcast on the stream, but you can also listen to the audio version of this very podcast. And I gotta say, Tone, the audio people have been showing love. They've been showing love, man. Our last show, if you haven't watched it or listened to it, was on 45 years of hip hop. On the audio side, we pushing close to 600 listens. So say we're doing pretty well on that side, but got to keep it going. And please know you can watch the video later. You can do whatever. Just subscribe to this channel, the B-Roll Network. But let's get right into the business at hand, man. So now we have the part of the show where we talk about something that happened this week in hip hop, and in this week in hip hop, let me go over all these names: BDK, Dark Gable, King Asiatic, Nobody's Equal. That should be
yes, sir.
Black Anova. I never heard that one before. And Count Macula. I think that was when the albums was whack. I think that's when that came along. But it's none other than Antonio Hardy, aka Big Daddy Kane, celebrating 50 years on this earth. Tone, Big Daddy Kane. What else can we say about that brother, man?
Listen, man, this is one of those situations where we're talking about one of the gods of this hip hop thing. You know what I'm saying? The second era, golden era of the lead MCs, Kane is one of them. Just like the first era was like Grandmaster Caz, Kumo D, Mel and Mel, Run, etc. Second wave of legends was Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, G-Rap, and KRS, and Chuck D, and Kane, man, is the dude who a lot of my peers wanted to actually be like. You might like the other MCs, but you wanted to be like Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? Like Kane was smooth. He brought the sexy type thing. LL had this thing, and then Kane might have took it to another level because the dark skinned brothers wasn't getting that kind of love at the time because you had LL, then on the R&B side you had Albie Shore and and DeBarge and all of those guys, Christopher Williams, and Kane stepped right in, man, with the flat top with the 3 cuts in the eyebrow, which I had both in high school. I know I'm not dark skinned, but I still thought I was young Kane. You know what I'm saying? And he was just that dude, man. And I remember watching the video The Vapors, and Bismarck, he was doing a little part about Kane and stuff like that. And I just thought he was the smoothest when I heard Raw, set it off. Ain't no half stepping. Yeah, man, he just one of the guys to rap, man. And me being in North Carolina, Kane been living out here for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And I used to run in the cane all the time in the clubs and stuff, man. And I remember the first time I met him, man, I just walked up to him close to the VIP. I said, hey, man, not to bother, just want to dap you up. Let you know you always been one of my favorite MCs, man. And he was just like, blessings, man. And we talked for a few minutes, man. He was just cool and humble. He was smooth. He was what I expected before I met Kane. He was everything I expected, being the smooth, cool dude, very laid back, not moved by nothing, but very approachable. You know what I'm saying? Then a friend of mine, n.w.a, ended up doing a track with him on Welcome to Durham DVD, you know what I'm saying, with Little Brother, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I still see him to this day, man. Just a humble legend, man. Happy birthday to Kane, man. One of the dopest MCs of all time, no question.
No doubt, man. And I remember like being a kid, and I remember like every dude looked like Kane. So I was so thirsty, like, to see that dude up and close in the 80s, because I lived a couple of blocks away from Marcy. I mean, a lot of blocks, to be honest. But I know that, like, every time I was in that area, when you're a kid, you think you're gonna see somebody. You know what I'm saying? You think, oh, well, yo, let me see if I could see, Kane or whatever. And I remember one time my friends was like, yo, Kane is down the block. And I saw a silhouette of a dude that looked like him, had the flat top and all of that, had the build. But, then I was like, I won't be no groupie and chase him down. But I did wind up meeting him years later, probably like when I was in college in this club in DC. And I'll never forget it, because it was kind of a happy but a sad moment for me as a hardcore Kane fan, because of the status. And we talk about this all the time. The status kind of dies on rappers when people deem them old school. And Kane was in the club. He was at the bar with two shorties. He had a rainbow suit on, but it's Kane, so whatever. But I remember the DJ, I peeped him at the bar, but then I remember the DJ shouting him out, yo, Kane at the bar. So, Kane mad cool, just threw up the peace sign. Mm-hmm. Nobody reacted, you know what I'm saying? No, and it was people our age in there. And I was kind of sad, because even when we was outside with the let out, it was like one dude. Kane was just like right in the mix of all the people. It was like one dude that actually acknowledged him, like, yo, Kane, what up? Blah, blah. Now, I don't think that would happen today, because I think with social media and Kane appearing on stuff like Unsung, it now you kind of look at them differently. Like, Kane's social media, especially his Instagram, is dope, because you like see this dude all the time. So you don't have that memory of when he was hot way back in the 80s. And if he doesn't look like that, he's whack. It's like, no, he's a grown man. He's 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? He's still doing him, and he ain't upset about none of it. That was the dopest part about him. Because some people be
not at all.
You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, man, Big Daddy Kane, a legend in the game. 2 classic albums under his belt. Who cares what happens after that? Probably ahead of his time with the R&B rap stuff. Just a little early. You know what I'm saying? Just a little early with it. But as you can see, it kind of went that way anyway when we gave him flack for it. But nevertheless, happy birthday to Big Daddy Kane, one of hip-hop's greatest MCs of all time. And what's funny about today's show, Tone, is when I was listening to this dude's album, I was like, you know what? There's a lot of Kane-isms in your flows and your beat selections. A lot. Like, I mean, for that time, it would be considered biting some of it. But we're going to get into it. So, Tone, tell them about what we here to talk about today.
Oh, man, you know what? I'm excited about this episode, because a lot of people don't know what we're about to talk about. So this is going to be totally new to some listeners, but this is that time in hip-hop when Tim Dogg made a diss track called Fuck Compton. Okay, I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again, people, if you're listening. An MC from the South Bronx named Tim Dogg on March the 4th, 1991, made a song called "Fuck Compton," and he aimed it at N.w.a. Now, N.w.a at the time was still, if not the largest group in hip hop, they were right there with Public Enemy as the biggest groups in the whole culture at that time. Run DMC had died down a little bit. They still Run DMC, but we're talking about 1990, 1991 now. So it was really Public Enemy and you know what I'm saying, the N.w.a. This the whole culture of the West Coast. On that track and on the video, Timbo made a mockery of N.w.a, of Michelle A, of the gang culture. He talked about basically how stupid you are to wear red and blue. You know what I mean? He was the utmost disrespectful to the coast on the West. And it's still pretty amazing to this day that the dude didn't get himself killed back then by people who were really in the gang culture outside of hip hop, because you know, art imitate life, life imitate art, whatever. But Vague, man, I listened to the song again today. It's actually hilarious. But he was really spitting some insulting lines that I'm going to get into in a few minutes, man. But what did you think the first time you heard Tim Dogg's "Fuck Compton," man?
Yo, the first time I heard about it, it was just friends. You know what I'm saying? Because like 1991, I'm in what, like middle school or whatever. So it was like from friends, and I was just like, what? Because who's dissing N.w.a? That's like today if somebody tell you somebody dissing M.o.p. It's like, what? Like nobody is M.o.p. You know what I'm saying? Like you've never heard of that before. And I was a big N.w.a fan, and you know, a big West Coast gangster rap fan anyway. So I was like, well, first of all, who the hell is Tim Dog? And a song called "Fuck Compton." And I remember the first time I heard it, it was just pure shock, to be honest, because I couldn't believe what I was hearing and what some people who may be younger, who may be hearing the Tim Dog for the first time. This is before Tupac, way before Tupac and Hit 'Em Up. You know what I'm saying? This is way before the East Coast, West Coast beef. This was literally one dude basically trying to take on the coast by himself by just being as disrespectful as he could be with everything. But like you said, Tone, when I heard it, it was first shock, but then it became funny because I just couldn't. First of all, I didn't take him that serious as a hip hop artist because you just couldn't believe what the hell he was saying. But yeah, nevertheless, man, I didn't know what to think, to be honest. I was just sitting there like, somebody getting ready to die, because what the hell kind of record is this? But then he even took it further, because I listened to the song, but I also listened to the album, Penicillin Wax. I even dug out a prop for the party people there. If you don't know, this was the tape that came out in 1991. Tim Dog, the tape is in there. I just, you know, where the hell am I play that though? That's what, and it's scratched off. Look, a little nostalgia for y'all. The words and shit all scratched off. But well, we'll get into why I bought this. But I listened to the whole album, and yo, he's not only dissing N.w.a, he dissing DJ Quick, he dissing MC Hammer, Young MC, Kid and Play, Kwame, everybody. And it's like you would think like, oh well, this is just a New York versus, like, nah, he focused on N.w.a. That was kind of, I guess, that was the launch pad. But there's so many other artists that he dissing East and West Coast that you wonder like what Tim Dog would think about mumble rap. You know, if he ain't like something he's doing.
This dude, he started the song off, let's get right down to the nitty gritty. I'm talking about a bullshit city. Now, that's how you kind of starting off on the rhymes, man. Then he say stuff like, I crush Ice Cube, but I'm cool with Ice T. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then he say, you think you cool with your curls and your shades? I'm large enough to fuck Michelle A. And I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, this is Dr. Dre's girl. You know what I'm saying? And then even past that, speaking of Dr. Dre, he was like, Dre, you beat up D from Pump It Up. He talking about D Barnes, so he talking about his domestic violence situation. He just throwing all these low blows, man, and he do a skit about DJ Quick, on the song, on the album, what have you. He said n.w.a. shit to me, and yo, easy, fuck Compton. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I mean, this really was a version of Hit 'Em Up prior to the Pac and Biggie East Coast, West Coast. Because people need to remember this is 1991. And Compton's Most Wanted and DJ Quick both responded back in 91 and 92 respectively on their sophomore albums. This is 3 years really before any kind of the popular East Coast, West Coast of Pac and Big, which is really wasn't East Coast, West Coast, because Pac was still working with Boot Camp Click and rolling with Nice and Smooth and great friends with Greg Nice, etc. So most of that was on verbally anyway. But just for the sake of conversation, Timbo set it off 3 years before a lot of casual fans even knew about potential East Coast, West Coast beef. He went real hard, man. And I do think, let me say this, babe, if Tim Dog would have been a better MC, this would have struck a different chord for hip hop history at that time. He was an okay rapper. But imagine someone with the skills of, let's say, the Big Daddy Kane we just spoke about, or a Cool G Rap, potent MCs. If they would have done this song with those lyrics and their own kind of style and fashion of wordplay, we talking about one of the greatest diss songs in hip hop history.
Yeah, because you mentioned something that kind of sparked a thought in my mind. If that was Cool G Rap, dead, yeah, now you're talking about a battle. Now you're talking about something that's not even comical. It's just straight up like, damn, I'm kind of waiting for this one. And I think also, like, he said that part about Ice Cube, but then he dropped this record called Step To Me where he kind of says the reverse, almost like he tried to clean it up, where he was saying he's cool with Ice Cube and Ice-T. Because I think when he made Fuck Compton, Ice Cube was in limbo. Like, people,
he was.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people knew he left but didn't really know. And I think by the time he might have recorded Step To Me, that's when he knew, because he on that record he kind of addresses the whole Ice Cube left because of this reason. But yeah, man, like you said, man, if he was a better MC, and don't get me wrong, like, he's a very entertaining MC. That's what's kind of the hook for him. Also, we coming out the Ultramagnetics camp, we can't leave that part out. That's the crew he came out of. But as you can see, this dude, look at the flat top. Like, this dude was just
you kind of like your guy on Snap that I got the power.
Yeah, I got the power joint. Yeah, hold on,
man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You look just like him.
Even the video.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, right? Even the video was like, you look like him, just make the damn video. Holy shit. That's really like, I might, that's Tim Dog. Because there's a dog. Yeah, but one of the, like you said, also, I guess Dr. Dre's response was actually Snoop Dogg's response on, what was that, Dre Day? Where where Snoop kind of responded to Tim Dog, but felt so like long ago once that actually came out, and it's crazy. It's crazy the way the whole thing played out, because I remember when I first heard that song, I'm thinking this is a one-off, because remember, it was times back then where cats would have a single, but some of them wouldn't have albums if they didn't really pop like that. But when he dropped an album and the album was just filled with all this disrespect, Like you said, even skits, like he got a Michelle A skit on there, which whoever's doing the impersonating is doing a very good job. Because when I was younger, I was convinced that was her. Until the last part of that skit where she said, "I'm gonna go hang with Tim Dog." Then it was like, all right, you're wilding. No, you're not. But yeah, man, it again, penicillin on wax is crazy.
I have another thought too. Another thought real quick. You know, Tim Dog actually attacked n.w.a. at a vulnerable time as well. I was just processing the time period. You know, I'm in high school and what have you. So in 1991, when Fuck Compton was released, n.w.a. is in limbo. Because you got to remember, The Chronic came out in 1992. You know what I'm saying? So it came out late 1992. But during that time, n.w.a. were not bothered. Ice Cube had already left. He had already dropped America's Most Wanted already. It was about to drop the disc. He was gone. You know what I'm saying? Niggas for Life was about to drop. That dropped. Dr. Dre was gone. People keep forgetting that. Dre was gone. He met Snoop. Deep Cover came out a couple of months after that. The Chronic came out later on in 92. So you talking about a 2-year span of straight turmoil in n.w.a. camp. And, you know, with Eazy-E and Jerry Heller and the Suge Knight coming aboard and, you know, Ruthless Workers and then establishing Death Row. And so, again, if you would have had a situation where a G-Rap or one of those serious New York MCs would attack n.w.a. at that time, we talking about a whole different situation. You know, Tim Dog was entertaining, and he was raw. You know, he did diss them very hard. If you go back and listen to it, I mean, he had some balls. I mean, he's from South Bronx, so I give him credit. He had some balls, and he's from where hip hop originated at. He was making a mockery of n.w.a. I don't know how much was just him really just trying to get some shine and dissing them, really thinking they're dope, or him really saying, "Yo, that Jerry Curl shit stuff is whack over there," and I don't feel them dudes like that, because one thing people understand is, you know, just like when Snoop Dogg said on the Source Awards, you know, East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop. Yeah, well, most of us did, but everybody didn't. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in New York didn't rock with West Coast, and everybody on the East Coast didn't rock with the West Coast.
Yeah.
And, you know, so there's something to think about. So Tim Dog might have been genuine in his criticism of n.w.a. I don't know, but I will say it was hilarious.
I think, and this kind of goes into the question that we pose to the audience and ourselves, is marketing scheme. Was this some form of marketing scheme to try to get an East Coast gangster rap movement going so they can make some of that money that n.w.a. was making? I'm inclined to think yes, because of how hard and unprovoked Tim Dog's diss was to them. It just clearly felt like, yo, just say whatever towards them, it will catch everybody's attention. They don't even have to know who you are. I remember this video was being played everywhere, and I mean, look at the title. You know what I'm saying?
So vague.
And yeah, it was kind of crazy, because it was like, you know, nobody was really rating his skill. Everybody just couldn't believe what he was saying, and it was shock rap basically, because it was just something that wasn't done. But the fact that it was highly entertaining is kind of what caused me to buy it, because, you know, when the album came out, again, I wasn't looking to buy no Tim Dog album, but friends was like, yo, you heard the skit where he says this and when he says that. Now, I will say this, obviously, in New York City, within one borough, there's millions of people. In Brooklyn alone, there's close to 30-some million people in one borough. Obviously, they're all not hip-hop fans, but I can never say all of New York felt this way or that way. I can really go off of what was on the radio being said, what was amongst friends and family and neighborhood and stuff like that. And people did not dislike the Chronic or n.w.a. We loved it just as much as we loved Rakim and everybody else, because we thought it was dope. That's what made Tim Dog's diss come out of nowhere, because it wasn't like he represented New York. It was just like, well, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It was just shocking. It was like, oh, word. Now, I will say that the game thing, about the colors, that was something that a lot of New York cats used to say. But you gotta, if you do your hip hop history and you watch us, you know that hip hop was really in the Bronx, was really brought up through a gang culture, through a truce, and gangs kind of disappeared a little bit in New York City. So you didn't really have those rivalries of I mean, you still had people fighting, you still had blocks and stuff like that, but you didn't really have a gang culture the way Cali has it with the Bloods and the Crips. So to see people fighting over colors was foreign to a lot of us. Now we know in 2018, Bloods and Crips are everywhere. But nevertheless, you know, you could tell Tim Dog and his peoples were in the studio like, what can we say about these cats? And they were just grabbing everything from Jerry Curl to gangs, colors to Michelle A, like you said, D Barnes and all of that. But Tone, do you think that this was a marketing scheme, or maybe this was just a group of dudes who was just tired of hearing about West Coast gangster rap and how hard they were, and they wanted to, I guess, represent the East Coast?
I think it was a combination of both. I think on one end, it's like, let me do this shock value kind of the way 10 years later, almost 50 Cent did with How to Rob. You know what I'm saying? So on one end, Tim Dog figured out, we're going to get our name in the street sales. I mean, obviously you want to sell some records, but at the same time, you know, again, maybe Tim Dog really didn't think they were that dope, and maybe he thought the n.w.a was kind of overhyped. Maybe he did think Eazy-E was whack because Eazy-E couldn't rap. You know what I'm saying? But the persona of Eazy-E was dope. I like Eazy-E. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was dope because who he was. His rapping was funny to me. He had the voice, the little look. You know what I'm saying? He was easy. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't have to know how to rap to me. I thought it was dope anyway. You know what I'm saying? But Tim Dog might have looked at it like, yeah, he can't rap. Well, I was looking for the raps from Ice Cube and Ren and all of them. I knew Eazy-E's the front man for the group. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he thought they was whack for real. You know, I don't know, man. But I think it was probably a combination, though.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, you know, because for one, he was on Columbia Records, so somebody saw dollar signs in this situation. But part of it, like you said, was, you know, he had the balls to do it. I'm pretty sure there's probably a story somewhere where they wanted a more high profile New York MC to do it, and they shut it down. Probably because they were cool with the artists, because we've heard stories of that where, you know, record labels feel like a certain artist ain't making enough money, and they literally will come to you and say, we want you to this person to make money. And some of that was what Tupac and Death Row was doing. You know, well, not necessarily everybody, but Suge Knight is kind of what, you know, he was all in for it because he knew what would come from that, as far as record sales and people picking sides. But as you can see, it was bad. This is a thing also, Tone. So we're talking about this. I actually watched some YouTube videos of kids who never knew about it, watching the Fuck Compton video for the first time and reacting to it. And their minds are blown, and they don't even have the backstory. They just can't believe that existed at some point in hip hop. Right. But that's the thing. When people talk about diss records, when people talk about the East Coast, West Coast, and when it started and hit them up, but they never bring up Tim Dog. Is that because people never really took it that serious to call it a serious diss record, or did we just forget?
Well, I'm in the South, you know what I'm saying? So being in North Carolina, I remember hearing Fuck Compton, and I was like, ugh, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But because he wasn't a dynamic MC and his albums and stuff like that wasn't dope like that, at some point it just went away. You know, down south, it just kind of went away, and then Dr. Dre dropped the Chronic, and then Snoop Dogg was like, he was dissing Luke and everyone else, and then he said something about Tim Dog on F with Dre and all that. We were like, okay, well, he done, you know, Dr. Dre and Snoop done smashed all their competition, so we up on this Chronic now. So anything pre-Chronic didn't even matter anymore because Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg totally changed the scope of rap music and shifted everything back to the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? So you know, even Tim Dog might have been East Coast MC, but it just wasn't good enough to keep your attention after the shock value was over with. Didn't even really matter. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
for us down here, for us down south, after the Chronic, whoever they dished, it was over for us. I was like, okay, well, Tim Dog out the way. He wasn't that dope anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just mentality.
And you know what? I think that might have been the consensus for hip hop fans, period. Because I think the hype was there when it came out. And, you know, once it started to fizzle, you know, I know cats who was hyped to hear it, but they wasn't buying that damn album because they just looked at him as like a parody of hip hop. But for those who want to know, you know, okay, so Tim Dog had that record and it probably did some kind of numbers, and he had that album and it probably did whatever it did. But what else happened? Well, digging in the crates to find that Penicillin on Wax album, I actually found a Tim Dog Do or Die special events copy that was never released of his second album. Don't ask me where, why, how. I just have it. It was supposed to be on Columbia. What's that?
What year was that supposed to drop?
Let's see. 1993.
Oh man, okay. So let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
By the time 1993 had arrived on East Coast, lyricism was back again. So somebody like Tim Dog would have been shelved anyway because 1993 you had the Wu-Tang Clan was dropped, and you had Method Man hitting the forefront of New York hip hop, and then you know you had a Tribe Called Quest, Men and Marauders. You know you had all the emergence of Redman and Keith Murray and all these guys was coming. Nas dropped Illmatic the year after. Yeah, no doubt. The year after that, Biggie came the year after that. 93, 94 was a lot of lyrics. So even Outkast dropped in 94 down south to change hip hop again. So the dated style of Tim Dog, that CD would have been a weed plate.
Yeah, well, this is the crazy thing. Like, okay, so I guess I kind of glanced over this, but on his original album, his debut album, Penicillin on Wax, there was a lot of Big Daddy Kane flow. And I mean, even down to taking the each to teach to reach the beach. You know, that's Big Daddy Kane shit.
Right.
He even got a song on there that's literally the same beat as Big Daddy Kane's Raw, just sequenced a little bit different, but it sounds exactly the same. On this joint, though, and like you said, with all those guys coming out, even though it was new and it was a new wave, it was still a remnants of older wave as far as East Coast hip hop, which was like and I'm not saying it's that old, but like a Das Effects style, not the Iggity, but just their kind of style of rapping. What's the name of them dudes who did blues? UMCs.
Yeah.
Somewhat Onyx a little bit. He had a song on here with KRS-One called I Get Wrecked. Tim Dog has a totally different flow. And it reminds me of when LL dropped 14 Shots to the Dome. And remember, he was all of a sudden army fatigue hats and stuff like that. And he was rhyming different. That's how Tim Dog is rhyming on here. But like you said, the new wave was already coming and they weren't rhyming like that. This album never saw the light of day. It was on Columbia Rough House. That's a throwback for you, Rough House. I mean, it's a whole bunch of tracks on here and it's trash. Why? Because like Tone said, the novelty for this dude and the record or the trend he set for himself was he's the cat that said fuck Compton. After that, what was he? Nobody said he was super nice. Nobody said, oh, he dissing them, but that song is dope. He had some dope beats, but it really shows on this album that homie was like a one-trick pony in the bars and a one-hit wonder, basically.
Yeah.
And the record label basically saw that, and that's why the album never came out. So I guess it was more of the marketing flares run off, and You know, like you said, we got Redman now. We got all these other cats out. You know what I'm saying? We got Nas shopping that demo. It was just a new wave, man. And somebody like Tim Dog, regardless of what he was able to do, Death Row was already crazy and crazy everywhere. New York City did not care about no new Tim Dog album at all.
And let me say this too, babe, real quick, because you said that album supposed to have been released in 1993. Oh, yeah. Well, Doggy Style released in 1993, and Snoop Dogg totally crushed hip hop. So when you said F. Compton, well, Snoop Dogg is West Coast, and he was in 1993. He was like the #1 rapper in the whole hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you know, and then right after that, Dog Pound came out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
like you said, when you hear Dre Day and you hear Snoop just smooth Tim Dog off with a couple of lines, that said it all, man. Like, you know, that was like hip hop agreeing as a total that, yeah, that was fun, that was cool. n.w.a. is no more. The Chronic and Death Row and Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dog Pound, this is where it's at. Nobody cared, man. But then Tim Dog had a crazy life after that, man. I don't know if you got any facts with you, Tone, but I think I know a summary if you do.
Well, I'll let you do a summary. I just know, of course, his career never panned out like he would have thought it was going to do. And he really went into the hip hop graveyard in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And you can fill in the blanks. But, of course, unfortunately, you know, Tim Dog passed away about 5 or 6 years ago down in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, rest in peace to Tim Dog, you know. But if you have some other facts, I mean, you know, by all means.
Well, mostly, you know, he did some time, you know, he was running some schemes, you know, like embezzlement. And, you know, I think the last thing that happened with him was what did he do? I think the last thing that happened with hold up, this TV is going crazy behind me. But yeah, I mean, the last thing that he did was, I think he scammed this woman out of her money, like $30,000 and shit, on some not dating. Well, maybe it was a dating app thing, but wound up doing time or whatever. And then there was this thing about him faking his death, because this was like, he was confirmed dead a couple of years ago, but I think he died a couple of years earlier than that. But it wasn't confirmed because he had faked his death at one point. Basically, this dude's life is probably a dope Netflix movie, or I mean, I know that's tough to say. It's his life, but it's extremely interesting given the fact of his connections with hip hop. There's real life and prison time and stuff like that, and then, you know, the fuck Compton thing and that, and then the fall from grace and or the fall from 15 minutes of fame, and then to, you know, go on to have this life where he's hustling and scheming and out of jail. I mean, they do it for everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And when you hear that, it's just kind of like it's a sad tale. But nevertheless, here we are talking about the album and talking about the song because it was something that happened in hip hop that basically took the attention of every hip hop fan everywhere. Probably angered a lot of people on the West Coast, but nevertheless, still a time in hip hop that needs to be noted because it happened. You know what I'm saying? Here's the point in the show where we recommend to you an album you should go back and listen to, you know what I'm saying, whether it's for nostalgic reasons or just because we think it's dope and maybe people forget about it and they need to remember. And I got nothing but tapes today. My recommendation for this week just so happens to be MC Ren's EP. Hold up, get the reflection off. It's called Kiss My Black Ass. I know, but Ruthless Records, Priority Records. It's a what is it? A 5 or 6 song EP with some skits on here. This was like released before MC Ren even had an album. Before he had his first album, I believe. It even says on here MC Ren of N.w.a. Follow MC Ren on social media. He's mad cool. He'll follow you back. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I was a big Ice Cube fan, but I was also a big MC Ren fan. I always thought he was cool. Even though they was dissing my man, I didn't care. I thought MC Ren was cool. And it's some dope joints on here, man. It's the MC Ren you're used to hearing on N.w.a, but on a solo project. My favorite song on here is a joint called Behind the Scenes. I was a kid. Wait, this was released in 1992, by the way. Now look at how that works. Timbo,
right.
You know what I'm saying? 91, 92, 93, Death Row, Ruthless Records. There's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, as hip hop fans, we was buying all that shit. I'm putting up Tim Dog, all of it. I was buying all of it. But favorite song on here is Behind the Scenes, which is a story, basically sexual story or whatever. You know, as a kid, I just loved to hear rhymes that was just as dirty as possible because it just sound dope sometimes. Tim Dog had some of those, but nevertheless, a dope EP. It's available on digitally, so it's not something that's hard to find. You can find it on iTunes or whatever. I have it digitally. Check it out or stream it on one of the streaming services. I'm pretty sure it's available. Pretty dope EP. But Tone, what's your recommendation for this week?
Yeah, mine is one of my favorite NC, North Carolina MCs named Median. Had an album came out in 2007 called Median's Relief. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, Median is an amazing MC. I really wish he would have found a lane where he could became very popular because, the smooth voice, flow, lyrics. Ear for beats. Matter of fact, he has a song on Median's Relief called Brenda's Baby. I posted on my Facebook tonight because I want people to hear it. Because it's basically part 2 of Tupac's Brenda's Got a Baby. You know what I mean? So it's basically the baby was put in the trash can when somebody found the baby. And the baby grew up and had a life. And so Median creates a life for Brenda's baby.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Check that out, Veg. Everyone listening, go to YouTube, put in Median Brenda's Baby. Trust me, this is one of them things where, and I'm just thinking out loud right now, if Tupac could have heard this song, man, I think he would have really appreciated this song. Like, this dude took my song and did a continuation of this baby's life. This baby turned into a woman, et cetera, et cetera. It's a dope joint, man. The track 1 on the album is called Love Again. I posted it on my Facebook, Tony Haynes Facebook, whatever. You'll love that song. If you love hip hop, you'll love Median's song Love Again. He has a song on there, How Big Is Your World, produced by Ninth Wonder. Of course, again, it's a North Carolina MC. He was in the Justice League with Little Brother, Ninth Wonder, Cesar Comanche, Crisis, and everyone who was in the clique. So, majority of the album is produced by Ninth Wonder and Crisis. So if you're into the boom bap, chop, 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 you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's rhyming over that. He's an amazing MC, opened up for KRS and a lot of other guys back in the early 2000s. I personally know him. We used to come to the crib and hang out. We used to shoot ball together. Very cool dude, man. And he a couple of years ago, real quick, he had some kind of deal with the foreign exchange, because he came up with Fontaine Pool and everyone. So I want to say he had some projects that should have came out on foreign exchange music with Tay. And I don't know what happened. And I haven't seen him in a while. And he was so laid back. I think he loved hip hop, but didn't love it enough to go through as much of the drama that go to try to keep pushing. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while, but Median's Relief, dope beats, dope samples, dope lyrics, man. Yeah, please check that out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, man.
That's dope.
Good dude.
And that's dope. And that's like one of them joints that's the whole point we try to do here with these recommendations. You know, it's easy for us to recommend joints you've heard of before, but sometimes, you know, we like to recommend things that are hard to find or artists you may never heard of ever before or albums you didn't even know existed. But that's the point, man. We kind of grew up in that realm of digging basically and looking for new artists and you know what I'm saying, and really getting into their lyrics. And you know, a lot of people complain today and say, you know, this is missing from hip hop, but it's actually not. You know, it's actually it actually brought it full circle back to the whole digging situation. So instead of going in a record store and actually dumbing through cassettes or CDs or vinyl, you know, you can go on the internet, you can go on YouTube, you can go on SoundCloud, whatever it may be, Bandcamp or whatever, and you can really discover some dope artists. Quick example, you know, I didn't realize that Alchemist has the albums that he releases on a mainstream situation as far as you can find them on Spotify and all that. But then he has a Bandcamp where he's just putting out beats that it's not in your face, but I just had to dig in order to find it. And you know, lo and behold, he has like this catalog of like 6 albums of beat CDs that you can't find on Spotify and stuff like that. So that's the whole point of us recommending joints. You know, some joints you should go back to, others you need to discover for yourself, whether you are older hip hop fan or a brand new hip hop fan. Trust me, we lead you in the right path of some dope music. It's been a dope show. We hope you enjoyed it. What do you think about Tim Dog and the Fuck Compton song? Did you think it was a marketing ploy? Were you shocked by it? Are you shocked now because you never heard of this before? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Please know that the best way for us to continue what we do is not only for you to check it out every week, but for you to hit that like button if you like it, comment if you got something to say, share it with people you know would enjoy this type of content, and more importantly, subscribe so you can stay locked in. On behalf of myself, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast, and Tone of IntoTheDome.com, until next time, y'all, support hip hop. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.